Hey, good day. It's Colin from Jeeping.Net. Today we're going to be installing these rockers on our project LJ. These rockers are for TJs and LJs. Obviously this one's for the LJ, it's a little longer, but it's the exact same for the TJ. I actually have quite a bit of experience with these rockers in the past as I've installed them in two previous TJ builds. They're a very solid, very thick rocker. You can see right here, the thickness of the steel is very stout. It does not have a step on it. What they've done instead is they've gone with kind of almost like a pipe right here. However, it's a big round bend. This will give this rocker a lot of strength without really getting in the way of your legs, getting in and out of the vehicle. I personally don't like having a big step on my vehicle, getting in and out. The way this mounts, and I'll show you in a few minutes, is this actually does not use nut certs. It actually drills into the body in areas that you can access the nut from behind. This is good and bad. It makes it a lot easier to install, a lot easier to replace later on. But you'll see it does cause some problems, especially in the LJ. So I'll get to that near the end of the video. The other item on this is underneath. The lip only goes slightly underneath the vehicle, so it's not going to give you a whole lot of underneath protection. It makes it a lot easier to install. It makes it easier to install on any type of body lift or any modifications you have underneath there, which is one of the reasons why I like this design. But it does not give you the same protection as some of the other ones that actually bolt into your body mounts. So all of the stress is on the body. Nothing's on the body mounts themselves. I've had no problem with that. I have heavily abused these in the past in my past TJ vehicles, but you know, it's not going to be quite as strong as some of the others on the market. So we've got this rocker currently ready to go, prepped, ready to go, and we'll jump in. I'll show you how I did that, and then I'll show you how you actually install these. Okay, so let's get to it. So you want to start out by removing any factory rockers that may be on the vehicle. In this case, we're working on a Rubicon, so I had to take those rockers off, and a couple of bolts broke, so that's what you see me currently grinding off and my Dremel currently acting up. Others might actually have a little fender that goes underneath where you see the limited sticker there. That also needs to be taken off. After that, you want to give everything a really good clean degrease. I did this 2 or 3 wipe downs, got everything really clean. If your paint is in good shape, you might even want to wax it. But in my case, you'll see here in a few minutes, we're going to paint. At this point, I'm taping off pretty much where the top of the rocker is going to be. Off the camera, I also taped up the side of the fenders just to protect them a little bit from any possible nudges with the rockers. Here I'm marking where the top of the rocker will be. This will help you get a nice level install and ensure you don't have any misalignment issues. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually giving the nut certs a little tap. This indents them and actually helps you line the rocker up a lot more flush. Here you can see I'm now lining the rocker up with the top of those lines we made on the tape. And using 2 jacks will really help you at this point. And also using a clamp will act as a third hand, helping you line everything up perfectly. This is pretty critical. An extra set of hands would really help here, but this is definitely doable by yourself. You then come back actually with a full-size drill bit, just to center your hole. You just give a quick little burst of the drill, and this will help make your center punch. I find this gives you a lot more accurate center hole. I then came back and made a few pilot holes, ensuring that the back of the drill location is free from any wires. You can see right there. You then come back with a full-size drill bit, ensuring you don't hit any wires again, and drill out the holes. Depending on the size of your pilot hole, you may want to come up a couple steps. This is pretty thin sheet metal, and I had no problem making it through in just 2 passes. You then want to come back and really clean up the holes. So I'm here getting rid of any metal burrs, making sure that the tape is not right into any of the holes. And then now I'll come back with some touch-up paint and hitting those holes to make sure they don't rust anytime into the future. I do this on the front and back. I actually did 2 coats, making sure I have really good coverage. At this point, if your paint is in good shape, you can just wax everything down again, clean it up after that paint is dried. But in my case, it doesn't look too bad in this video, but there are a lot of rock chips on here, and I want to ensure that my paint is good in the long term. So I came back and actually gave it 2 coats of paint.
You want to make sure that everything's well coated with your paint. So I'm making sure to get underside of it and anywhere that I'm not going to be able to reach once these rockers are installed. So now you're ready to do your final install once that paint is dried. So you can see I'm grabbing the rocker and the fenders are actually going to hold it in place. And again, to prevent any rust, I'm actually going to hit this with some fluid film because once the bolts are tightened up, you're never going to get back in there. So I'm giving it a pretty good liberal spray down in here. And this is going to help just ensure no long-term rust may happen. You now use the supplied bolts. They supplied Allen bolts. So you put the Allen bolt through, washer, and then there's a locking nut put on the back. I'm just going to install everything at this point finger tight, working from the middle out to the edges. Everything goes in very loosely at this point. Okay, I'm now going to ratchet everything down, starting from the middle, working my way out. Again, I'm not going to go too tight. We're just going to get everything snug at this point, coming back and forth. These Allen keys can be really annoying. I quite dislike them. If I do this again, I would just replace these with hex keys. As you can see, I actually had to use a hammer to actually get them in. Once that's done, come back and torque everything down to spec. Okay, we're now ready to start with the install on the bottom. So this is pretty easy since everything's torqued in the top. You take your drill bit and you just go straight through. Going to come back and clean up the holes with some paint again and deburr them in the top and bottom. It's now time to use the supplied hardware to install the bottom of the rocker. There's a little spacer that goes between the rocker and the body. I installed everything finger tight and actually used extra washers on the bottom just to help displace that load. And like the top, I came back and torqued everything down to spec. Once this is done and you know everything's good, you actually can trim those bolts off to make them a little flush. I will do that at a later date.
So here we are, finished product. Everything's all bolted up, torqued up, cleaned up most of my tools so far. So I'm pretty happy with them. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I ran these on previous vehicles. But they were TJs. The one issue I'm seeing, and it's worse on this side than the other, but is I've developed a gap right here. It looks a little worse in the video than it actually is because there's some shadow in, but it's actually getting worse and worse as time goes on. Basically, there's a bow in the body right here, and I think basically what's happened is there's not a lot of structure on the body back here, and I think it's pulling the body out this way, so it's causing a bit of a gap in here. That wouldn't happen on the TJs because obviously the TJ fenders are back here, so you'd have a lot less bolt. I'm getting a little bit up here in the front on this side, the other side's showing none of that. So I think I'll have to come back with some nut certs at some point and probably fix it up. It's not going to cause any problems really structurally wise. I'm more concerned about rust. You did see me spray the rust inhibitor down there, and actually it gives me a gap to spray it down there. So maybe that's all I need to do. But yeah, that's something to consider with these. The reason I actually got these, I said I've used them before, but I also got a really good price on these because it's crazy Amazon deals sometimes. I think this was overstock. This weren't selling, so they just kept lowering the price until I had to buy them basically. So yeah, anyway, I think I'm gonna be very happy with these. I'll let you guys know in about a year how they hold up and what I do to fix those gaps. I might even try loosening all the bolts and retightening them. That might help, but I don't know. I'm gonna put a flat edge on and see what's happened. Anyway, thank you guys a lot. Hope you guys enjoy the video and it's helpful. Thanks.